3, 2, 1. Wow! Funny, just this one is standing still and these two. Cool. Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel where I like to talk about game development. I hope you are doing well and everything is going well too. So let's get that started. Firstly, as you can see in my scene, I have props. I just put randomly some of the props which I downloaded from the internet, as you can download also as free. Let me show you the resources. First of all, this is the first one. You can download it as free. This is just for demonstration. And secondly, I use some particle effects. Again, it's free. You can download it. And I use one explosion sound effect from the freesound.org website, which you can download also as free. So these are the resources which I have used. So let's come back to our scene. As you can see, randomly I put some of the props here. In these props, there is one thing which you need to pay attention. When you download it, let me find them. Sorry, simple props here. As you can see, there are different types of props which you can use in your game or in this demonstration. But the point is, whenever you use one of these props, as you can see, they have mesh collider. The problem with the mesh collider is you cannot use it with rigid body. And for explosion effect, we need rigid body. So one of the first things which you need to do, whatever the props which you are going to use here as explosion effect, you have to first of all delete the mesh collider and then add another type of collider to make it work. So let's lower. And here, as you can see, I have box collider for all my pros which I am using here. So all of them has box collider and also rigid body. As you can see, the rigid body has different settings, different values as mass. You can change them as you wish and you will have different effects, of course. So let's just get started what we need to do exactly. Let's first of all create one empty game object which is going to be our center of explosion. Let's name it as explosion. Okay, and let me prefab. I just created one effect. I combined 3 different particle effects which I have downloaded from here to make some cool explosion effects. So you can do different things also. Just you need to add this explosion inside to your effect should be under explosion. So we can reset this. So already actually, and let's make like this. I want to see this. Yeah, so I can clearly see where is my center of explosion. So let's reset this one. Anyway, here we're gonna have some explosion effect. So what we are going to do, we are going to add very simple script. Let's add this script first of all. Let's say explosion. Explosion. Let's create and edit. So now we need to write some basic codes. What we are going to do here is actually very simple. We are not going to do anything complicated, but first of all, let's delete all of them. So we need to first of all get all objects around our explosion point and then apply explosion force to each of them. So to be able to do this, first of all, let's create a method and call it as get objects private void. This is going to be only used inside the class, so we don't need to define it as a public. So in this method, what we are going to do is we are going to use physics spare cast all, so we can get all the objects around us which has rigid body, which has box collider or any different type of collider in it. So let's get it for each, because we want to get more than one object. So collider in physics, oops. So here what we need to do, as you can see, there are different type of usage of this method. We are going to use it as, because we want to our explosion object to be center. So this is our origin, and then we are going to define radius as we want. This is going to be a serialized field, so we can change it then. And then as direction, I'm going to enter as position of our explosion point. So let's come to here, serialized field, float. Let's define our radius. So this will be controlled by us from the Unity editor. So after we get all the objects around us, we need to get rigid body from them, and if there is rigid body, we need to add it to lists, so we can know which objects are going to be affected by the explosion. So first of all, let's define a list with rigid body and name it objects around. So here what we need to do, rigid body from the any collider object which we have get, actually we can do from component and rigid body. So if we have rigid body, we can check it if it is null or not. We are going to add to our object list which we just created. So this is going to be rigid body. So we are adding right now, as you can see. If there is an object, we are checking all of them. If there is an object, we are adding it to our list. So now we have list, we have a function which we are checking all the objects around our center point. So let's do the avec method. Let's call this function. Okay, so good. So now let's see what we have here. Oops, Unity didn't open. Updating. Okay, so now we need to continue with the explode effect, but before it, as you can see, we have radius here, but we are not clearly see how much effect and how the range is big or small for explosion. So let's draw some gizmos for it. Okay, let's come back to here. So when we select our explosion object, we want to draw some gizmos around it. So color, let's choose it as red. Gizmos, draw. and this will be the position and the radius. Let's come back to Unity. So we have right now, as you can see, we can see the range of the explosion, the objects which is going to be affected. So let's first test if we are able to get to all the objects. Let's make this a debug. And as you can see, there are all objects around and our effects because we didn't disable it. As a default, let's disable this one too because we don't want to show it before the explosion. So we have right now our gizmo also here. So what left? We need to add explode effect. Private void explode. What we are going to do here, we are going to get all the rigid body in our list and apply some explosion force to them. This is going to be force, how much force we want to apply for each object. We are going to define the serialized field, and then position of explosion, position, and finally explosion radius. Let's make it as range. Let's call this one as range. So we need to add two more serialized field. The first of all force, and secondly range. It was, yes, should be float range. So right now we have explode effects also. So how we are going to activate this explanation? The simplest way, we are going to listen key events, and whenever with one of the button keyboard press it, we are going to explode it. So let's do in the update method, if input, let's say for the E button, we are going to call the methods. Here editors showing remote. I guess we don't need to do anything. Okay. So now we are calling explode effect, explode function, and we are applying explosion force to each object which we get at the beginning of the code. Okay. So let's test it like this to see the result. I guess Unity. Just a second. So just a second, we edit. We didn't put any. Let's say the force is going to be 500 and range is going to be 2.5. Oh, as you can see, there is no so much effect as explosion. Okay, let's increase the force a bit. Yeah, this is pretty cool. Right now we have some forces here. Okay, but we didn't finish yet. We are not done yet. So what we are going to do, we want to make this looks like real explosion. So because of that, we are going to add some effects. Let's start by visual effects. So we already add, if you remember, one particle system just inside to our explosion point. So we are going to get this one as X, and also we are going to get some sound effect. and this is going to be explosion SFX. Okay, so to be able to play explosion SFX file, we need to audio source. So for that, what we are going to do is, actually we don't need serialize for it. Source, let's define it like this, and in the evac method, let's get this component. So now we can get it, and we can play any sound effect by using it. So when it's explode, we want to first of all make our effect visible. So it was explosion VFX, so let's make it active, and then with our audio source, let's play one shot of our effect, sound effect. So right now let's check it. Unity is updating. Okay, first of all, of course, we need to assign files. Our effect is here, and sound effects, which I downloaded, is here. Let's change this one to normal. So let's test it. Oops, we have some problem. Let's check it. Ah, of course, sorry, by mistake. We didn't add audio source here. Let's add it. Okay, we can clear. I think right now it's going to be okay. Oops, again. Oh, sorry. What was the problem? Oh, of course, we defined our list, but we didn't set it. So in C#, if you want to use list, somehow you need to initialize it. Cool, but there is something with FX which I don't like it. Let's reset it. I guess I just broke it when I changed it. Let me check the preset itself. I guess it's a bit down. We can just make it higher. Yeah. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. So we have one explosion right now with cool effect, and all objects around are affected by the explosion. So let's make it more fun. Let's put more objects around. Let's make like this. Like this, and let's move our explosion to the center, and let's increase the range of it, and let's also increase the force, and also let's move the camera to the left a bit to see better. Okay, let's try it. 3, 2, 1. But I guess we need a bit more force because these areas are not affected very well. So let's do it. Let's make it even 40,000. and the range let's increase the range also. It's really pretty enough. 3, 2, 1. Wow! Only just this one is standing still and these two. Cool. Let's put it again. Very cool. Let's add another one here. Okay, we have 2 explosions right now. Wow! Cool, pretty cool. So, as you can see, we have pretty cool. It's fun to play. It's seriously fun to play. So as you can see, we have seen with explosion effect here. It is very simple to do. It's not something so complicated. So with a little amount of time, you can also easily implement such kind of effects in your games. So that's all for today. I hope you liked the video or you learned something. If you like, please consider subscription to the channel and please don't forget to like the video. That's it for today. Take care. See you.